As we wrap up 2024 and head into the new year, I want to remind you that better gut health is simple, but not always easy. I'm Dr. Robynne Chutkan, gastroenterologist, microbiome expert, and author, and I am here to help you find gut bliss. On today's show, the last episode of the year, I want to say a huge thank you for listening and supporting the podcast. Turning up every week since April to share what I've learned in my almost 30 years as a gastroenterologist is sometimes kind of challenging. And I want to tell you, it's not the time commitment or coming up with the content that's challenging. It's being brave enough to tell you what I really think about gut health, to add those editorial comments when I'm giving you information on ultra-processed foods or why your gallbladder isn't working or the connection between your gut and your skin in a way that is going to inspire and empower you rather than sounding like I'm blaming you. Because my intent is definitely inspiration and empowerment, not blame. The medical industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the supplement industry, the food industry have all figured out that if they can convince you that none of your problems are related to anything that's actually under your control, not the weight you're struggling with, not the reflux you're experiencing, not your indigestion or bloating or IBS, if none of it is in any way related to your diet or lifestyle or a medication that you're taking, then there's nothing you have to stop doing, and all you can do is take a pill and keep on eating the same food and consuming the same products that they are trying to sell you. But the problem with that approach is that it takes away your power. And when we come back, what kind of power am I talking about? The Gut Bliss podcast is brought to you by VizBiome, my first and quite frankly, my only choice for a probiotic. Whether you're dealing with irritable bowel syndrome or just looking to restore your gut health, VizBiome can help. It's a medical food for the dietary management of IBS and gut inflammation. Backed by science and clinically vetted by thousands of my own patients. Find your gut bliss with VizBiome. Go to vizbiome.com/gutbliss and use discount code GUTBLISS at checkout. I'm talking about your power to make changes that can ultimately make a huge difference in your gut. And I'm talking about really simple things, like drinking more water. I can probably solve half of the constipation I see in my office by just getting people to nudge closer to 100 ounces of water a day. Plain, regular water, not electrolyte water or vitamin water or alkaline water, but just clearing any clogs in your digestive pipes with water is going to make a tremendous difference for most people. Not going to make any money for the pharmaceutical industry, but going to make a huge difference for your constipation. Another empowering move, recognizing that a lot of the medications that are being marketed to you, things like acid blockers and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs, and even vitamins and antidepressants, many of them are sometimes causing your GI problems. They are not curing the problem. That message really swims against the tide of this era we're in of a pill for every ill and biohacking, and you don't have to change anything you're doing. Just take this supplement, this digestive enzyme, this medication, and all will be well. In my 30 years of GI practice, I can tell you for sure that the road to better gut health often involves removing practices that are harming your gut rather than adding in something that is going to heal it. Sometimes adding in something is what you need, but so often it is recognizing a food, a medication, a habit that is causing the problem. The tricky part can be identifying what that harmful practice is and then figuring out how to remove it and what to replace it with. Because the reality is, if you, for example, are taking steroids for an autoimmune condition or antibiotics for chronic inflammation, those things are probably helping your condition. But on the flip side, they're also creating problems in your gut and throughout your body. And I recognize that for most people, just stopping that practice is not a reasonable solution. There needs to be an actual plan for how to get that condition under control without the harmful medication or practice, what to use instead, what is going to work, how long it's going to take, all of that. That is complicated information. And that is also the critical stuff that I want to provide you with. Another important piece of critical information is to also tell you when I think it's okay to use those drugs and maybe even a good idea, when even a really toxic medication is better than the alternative. An example of that is when I see a patient with severe Crohn's disease who is interested in trying a food-based approach. But after evaluating them, looking at their last colonoscopy, checking their inflammatory markers, listening to their symptoms, sometimes my professional opinion is, you actually need this drug right now. Your disease is so severe, and this is the only thing that's working. And my recommendation is to stay on this drug for maybe 6 months or 12 months or 18 months. And then maybe once your disease has quieted down, we can think about a food-based approach. And of course, in a situation like that, I want them to go ahead and start making those changes to their diet, even when they're on the drug. But I also want them to be realistic that given the severity of their disease, diet alone is unlikely to be the answer. So I think it's really important to be honest about that. And I want to be very clear that I am not anti-medication at all. I am so grateful that we have these powerful drugs that can be life-altering and in many cases life-saving for so many people and for many of my patients. But my goal is always to help you figure out what is the most judicious approach and to build that approach on a foundation of diet and lifestyle and practices that are going to help make you and your gut healthier. And it is truly my honor, my privilege, my pleasure to be that trusted source who turns up every week to bring you science-backed, clinically relevant gut health information. So I want to leave you with 3 takeaways for the end of the year. Nothing profound, stuff you already know, but maybe you just need a little reminder. Number 1, consistency is key when it comes to improving your gut. You can't cut through a rock by turning a water hose on it, but dripping a couple drops of water on it every day is going to eventually cut through even the hardest stone. Number 2, I want you to focus more on what you're missing in your diet than obsessing about what you need to eliminate. Sure, the ultra-processed foods and the refined sugar and the alcohol are really bad for you. But what your gut microbes need most is unprocessed plant fiber. Throw a little spinach in with those eggs. Grab a carrot or an apple as you're walking out the door. It's going to make a big difference in the long term for your gut health. And finally, be kind to yourself and others. If you don't have a perfect day of eating, or you don't make it to the gym, or you drink too much, or you see someone who is struggling with their health and habits, think about what you can do or say to encourage them and to encourage yourself. Empowerment, not blame. So that's it for this edition of the Gut Bliss Podcast, my 2024 wrap-up. I cannot believe that this is my 34th episode. I think that kind of makes me officially a podcaster, and I could not have done it without you. Thank you, thank you, thank you for listening. And speaking of thanks, a huge thank you to my incredible editor, Mike. I could definitely not have done this without you, Mike. Happy holidays, and wishing you all stool nirvana for 2025. Go to gutbliss.com for my free 7-day microbiome reboot course. If you like what you're hearing, drop a review and hit that subscribe button. And remember, dirt, sweat, vegetables, the best prescription for a healthy gut. Coming up next week on the Gut Bliss Podcast.
The information presented in this show is not meant to be medical advice. Consult your doctor before making any decisions about your health. The patients discussed are real people, but names and identifying features have been changed to protect their privacy.